Today we are talking about empowerment and its ugly counterpart, micromanagement. Empowering your team requires a commitment from you to develop them, along with you being compassionate as they make mistakes while they grow. It requires you to be humble and take risk. But I know you can do it because the rewards will be great. Welcome to the Finance Leader Podcast, where leadership is bigger than the numbers. I am your host, Stephen McLean. This is the podcast for developing leaders in finance and accounting. This is episode number 10, and today I will discuss first what drives you as a leader, and then we're going to talk about empowerment and micromanagement. Now let's get into the show. I want to ask you a question. What drives you as a leader? How do you think you're going to advance your career? I want you to consider this question also. What's your level of respect for people? Today we're going to be talking about empowerment and micromanagement. We're going to talk about the two differences as people lead their teams. One is very focused on growth, and the other is focused on control and fear. Now, the goal of empowerment is to develop, grow, and then trust your team members to complete tasks, and eventually so that they can make decisions on your behalf. That's the ideal state when you commit yourself to empowering your team members. This requires you to take risk and have that long-term view of what your team can accomplish. Now listen to me. It will make you doubt yourself while you coach, mentor, and learn to let go of your fears, and then let go of control. Your team members are going to make mistakes. What will you do? How will you handle it? Are you going to take back control? No, we're not going to take back control. What you're going to do is you're going to smile and you're going to support them with compassion as you help them figure out how to become better. You're going to have to learn how to take criticism from your boss and those above you. But keep hold of that vision of what you're trying to accomplish. You're trying to build a team that can do things without you. You're trying to build a team that can do tasks without you having to monitor and control every step of the way. You're trying to build a team that can make decisions, that can become better, that can help the organization without you having to make every decision for them. And when you keep hold of that vision and you create that team, the rewards are going to be great. You're going to be able to focus on other things. You're going to be able to focus on bigger tasks, bigger issues, how to build the business, how to build a better team, how to support senior management and senior leaders and the executive team. You will have a team who can get things done without fear. They will be happier. They're going to feel empowered to get things done without you controlling every move. Now I want to talk about micromanagers and how they operate. And they operate out of fear and they operate out of arrogance. Micromanagers are usually tormented. They usually have lots of anxiety and lots of insecurity. Oftentimes they have a feeling of either inadequacy or they feel that they need to control every aspect of every decision, of every step, of every task, so they appear to be something that they really aren't. They try to control the output. They try to control what everything looks like from the outside, and they'll say that others don't perform to their standard. I want to focus on two types of micromanagers today. The first is the typical arrogant and ambitious one who is more general and common in the business world. This person is a climber who's going to control all decision and wants to be out front. He wants to be seen as doing everything, wants to be seen as the hero. This person is going to be the one that's going to speak to upper management, to the executive team. They're going to control every piece that's leaving their office. It's only because so they can climb the ladder. They don't focus on developing others. They're going to climb that ladder and then they're going to be gone. They're very common. They aren't so worried about the work that's being done, but they're definitely focused more on the appearance of what their team is doing and the appearance of the work that's being done and the impact of their actions, at least the perception of the impact of their actions to senior management. So they can just go ahead and get done what they need to get done, and then they climb the ladder and they're gone, and then the next person comes in. Now the second one is more common to the finance and accounting profession, and that's where I want to spend most of my time. The second one is very common in our profession because we pride ourselves in our technical competence because we want to produce the most accurate results. And this type of micromanager is very stuck on the technical aspect of the task. I want to step back just a little bit and I want to talk about what produces a micromanager. Now, number one, if their boss micromanages, then they will probably micromanage also and micromanage every aspect, because it's tough having a boss that's a micromanager and you don't want to, but it almost forces you to be one, because they're going to come in and control also down below you every step and every aspect and be so detail oriented that you almost have to control everything just so that they leave you alone. Another reason that micromanagers are produced is that if the organization you are in has limited opportunities, or at least perceived limited opportunities, then everybody's going to be controlling every little bit for a very limited promotion. They're going to get more fearful and more controlling and try to get that one promotion, and that's what happens, and it creates a system of mistrust and controlling, and it just creates a cycle. You like to be in an organization that has lots of opportunities, lots of ways to get promoted, so that everyone has a perceived chance to get promoted, and then people won't be as mistrustful or as controlling with their teams. They can take a little bit more risk. Third reason is sometimes people believe that they can only advance on their own work, that they only can rely on themselves. And that's what happens. They try to control the tasks and the output because it's only on their hard work that they can get promoted. Another reason is, especially when it goes back to that second reason of limited opportunities, that they will perceive others as threats, including their own team, so they don't allow their team members to advance or allow the team members to grow, because they're afraid that their team members are going to take away an opportunity from them, and thus they become a micromanager and controlling of every piece of information that leaves the team, every decision that's made, every step of every task, and then they will not allow their team members to get in front of other people, and they will try to put fences around them because they perceive them as threats, and they're going to try to control everything. So those are the 4 things that I just wanted to highlight of how micromanagers can be produced. So I want to get back to what happens in the finance and accounting field and how we produce micromanagers. We often promote in our field the person who is more technically competent. These people are praised for their vast knowledge, their hard work, their attention to detail. These people know the science of finance and accounting. They are advanced in Microsoft Excel. They know data information systems, and they know how to solve technical problems. This is how they get promoted, because they're perceived as problem solvers. They're perceived as getting things done correctly in this field. They produce the numbers that senior management is looking for and the processes that senior management is looking for. They provide the backstory and the narrative, and they're very good at doing their projections and their journal entries and their analysis. They're very technically savvy. They know how to solve a good projection. They know how to solve a good problem to grow the business. And then they get promoted. However, they probably lack people skills. They're very focused on their work. They're very focused in knowing how to get a good spreadsheet together, a good analysis, a good projection. And what happens when they do get promoted is that they don't trust their team members to do the same level of work that they do. They become fearful of letting down the person who promoted them, or fearful that they will look incompetent. And then that circle continues. They're going to want to control every calculation, every aspect, every step of every task, because they're fearful of producing some work that's not quite up to the same level that they did individually. So when they give out a task to a team member, they're going to check every calculation because they were promoted on their great technical ability, on their ability to produce a good analysis or whatever job that they were doing. And then they want to produce the same work. They want to have the same level. And I understand that. However, you need to grow that person just like you grew in your technical ability. You need to also grow that same person. You need to teach them and coach them and mentor them and let them take a little bit of risk, have them a little bit of room to grow and develop. So that circle continues. And then people can become frustrated and they feel like they're being controlled, which they are. But where we want to go is empowerment. We want to build teams around trust, and leaders need to be willing to take that risk. We need to be creating healthy competition. That you should be creating competition between the person and the standard that they're supposed to achieve. As a leader, I want you to know that everything that you accomplish that's successful, and every time that you have a failure, all of these can be teaching points. You can use it to teach your team to become better, become more excellent. I want leaders who invest in the team, that are also willing to accept average performance today, but knowing the team will improve because you've taken risk with a team member on a tough task and you haven't controlled every aspect. You've given good guidance and you've let them run with the task. And maybe it's not quite to excellence today. Maybe it's average. You coach and mentor them to show them where they get better without a condescending attitude, but with an attitude of growth and compassion. We need to focus on having more autonomy at the individual contributor level. And I want the leader to be focused on coaching and developing. And again, this is all built on trust and risk-taking. We need to have the right attitudes to make it work. Now I'm going to ask you another question. Can you be a hands-on leader but not micromanage? And I believe you can, because I believe that I've done that. It's about sharing information. It's about focusing on coaching and mentoring. And it's about how to respect others, and it's about respecting opinions, and it's about treating people with dignity. Now I want to go back. It's about sharing information. It's about setting a person up for a task properly. You give them every piece of information you can. You give them good guidance on how to accomplish the task. Maybe you give them a tip or two, how to get it done. Maybe tell them about a few people that they need to go see to get some information to help them accomplish the task. And then they share information back with you about statuses and about where they are. We set up milestones and we set up reviews, but we don't go into each step of the task on how they get there. We don't say, well, go do step 1 and then come back and show me the result, and now go to step 2 and come back and show me the result. Have them do it, finish the result, and then give them an opportunity to go speak to the senior leader or the person that has requested the information. And then if it's not quite up to your technical standard, then you teach them better. You teach them more down the road. You teach them how to do that, but you let them do it. For a win today, I want you to ask yourself, how much do you control? Have you had the honest conversation with yourself? Do you allow your team members to get tasks done without you watching and checking every step of every task? And I want you to go through these next couple of steps. I want you to take a little bit of risk. The next time that there's a task that requires some interaction with your boss, I want you to hand that to a team member. I want you to give them the best guidance you can to get the task done. I want you to tell them that they can come back to you as much as they need to for additional guidance or clarification. And then once they're ready and they're finished with the task, I don't want you to check every detail of the task. I don't want you to check every calculation. You can check the end results, and you can have them pitch it to you and have them explain how they're gonna explain the task. And then you're going to go let them present that to your boss or whoever needs it done without you going there. Now, if the meeting went well, good job to everyone. Keep doing that. Keep getting better. But if it didn't go quite as well as you hoped it would be, let's not get upset with those results. I want you to be encouraging, and then talk about what happened, and then figure out a way forward and teach how that person can become better. I want you to coach without being condescending, and then have them rework the task if it needs to be done, and then let them go do it again. This is a step process for you to take a little risk with a team member and focus on that growth and remind yourself, what's the end state? We're going to have a team that's better, be able to make decisions on their own, and be able to get some things done without you watching every step of the way. And that frees you up to do other bigger tasks for the organization. It's going to be a win-win. You're going to have developed team members. You're also going to develop, and you're going to focus on bigger tasks, and the organization is going to win. In this episode, we talked about empowerment and micromanagement. Now, before I end this episode, I want to share a couple of statistics. Now, I found an article by the American Society of Public Administration, and the title of the article is Damaging Effects of Micromanagement, written by Linda Barnes in 2015. And she lists out a few statistics from some research that was done. And I'm just going to quote right out of the article some of the statistics, and these are not surprising. And the first one is that 79% of respondents of the survey that was done had experienced micromanagement. Not surprising. And approximately 69% said they considered changing jobs because of micromanagement. Following that, 36% actually changed jobs because of micromanagement. And finally, 71% said being micromanaged interfered with their job performance, while 85% said their morale was negatively impacted. I'm not surprised at all by those statistics. From what I've seen in my career, those are very accurate. Micromanagement affects everyone. It affects growth, it affects morale, it affects people's satisfaction with their jobs. They don't want to work for a micromanager. And even if they decide to change jobs, they're probably going to end up with another micromanager again. So just challenging you all to do a self-assessment, continue to take some risk, grow out of that immaturity of being a micromanager. You can be hands-on without doing it, and just encouraging you to continue to focus on the growth of your team so that you can benefit, your team can benefit, your organization can benefit. All right, this concludes season 1 of the podcast. I appreciate all of your support. Next week, I'm going to have a bonus episode out as I lay out what is coming next in the podcast. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the support. and the feedback. Thank you so much. We're going to have a lot more coming out. We're going to continue to focusing on leadership development because I believe, as I've said before, that leadership can set you apart from your peers. And as you are developing your leadership, senior leaders are going to notice it. I hope you enjoyed the show today. You can find this episode on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and many other podcast platforms. You can download the show notes by going to stephenmclean.com. Please join our community on Facebook, the Finance Leader Podcast Facebook group. This will be our community to grow within the finance and accounting profession. Until next time, you can check out more resources at stephenmclean.com and sign up for my updates so you don't miss an episode of the show. Now, go lead your team and see you next time. Thank you.